That's okay.
That's what the screen's for.
Oh, I see.
We don't want to drive anything.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started in 2 or 3 minutes, and if everyone could just take a seat, and if you need water or there are some refreshments outside, go ahead and take care of that now. I'm going to talk, I was going to do this a little later. For those who haven't been in this building before, the bathrooms are located, you go back down to where you entered the building. You turn right and then right again, you'll see the elevators and the bathrooms are right across from there. So again, we'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Deborah Kuhls. I'm the Associate Dean for Research at the Kerkorian School of Medicine at UNLV. I'm also the Chief of Trauma at University Medical Center. I'd like to welcome you to the School of Medicine's Research Symposium, and our theme is Advancing Research Through Innovation, Collaboration, and Growth. Before we begin, there are many distinguished guests who have RSVP'd today, but I would particularly like to acknowledge our founding dean, Barbara Atkinson, and Professor Emeritus and Interim Dean Emeritus, John Files. We appreciate all of your leadership that has brought us forward so that we can have the symposium today. I would be really remiss if I didn't acknowledge our planning committee. And in your program booklet, they are all recognized. And I'm sure I'm going to forget some other people. Our School of Medicine IT, UNLV TV, who's here, and this is being recorded. Deborah Foster, event manager, James King and Chris Kawapi, who are AV and IT support. We've been working with them for many weeks to bring this as well. And this symposium would not be possible without their time, their generous time, their talent, and their commitment to make this a quality event. And I'd like to now turn attention to today's program, which is really designed to provide research resources and connections to foster collaborative and interprofessional research. We will have a 15-minute break from 3:30 to 3:45, and the program is otherwise really focused on bringing resources to you. We will conclude with a poster showcase that I hope you can attend, along with refreshments and hors d'oeuvres as well. We'll be featuring many of our residents and fellows, graduate students, and postdocs who are all working on School of Medicine research. So next, I'd like to call two people to the podium. And first, we're honored to have with us Mark Kahn, who's Dean and Vice President for Health Affairs, and he'll provide some opening remarks, as well as Mason Van Houweling, who's the Chief Executive Officer from University Medical Center of Southern Nevada. It's all yours.
Thanks so much, Deb. Let's give a round of applause to Deb Cools, too, who had the inspiration for this symposium. So I'm going to take the liberty of speaking first. We decided we'd go by age anyway. So, you know, I had my first experience, tell a little story. I had my first experience with research. I was a freshman in college at the University of Pennsylvania. I went to a high school that didn't even give the SATs, so I was really scared. I showed up actually to school in overalls, true story, wondering what these fancy shirts were with alligators on them. But anyway, because I didn't have any money, I had a work-study job. And some of my friends worked in the cafeteria or the mailroom, et cetera. But I actually got a job in a research lab at the med school and worked with a guy, and I saw Brian Ward back there, and Deb's here, and John Files, but I was actually cannulating mice gallbladders under a microscope. So that was part of it. And then the other part of it was counting cells, where I actually met our founding dean, Dr. Atkinson, over a microscope. And that was many years ago. We're just going to leave it at that. But what that experience did for me is it really turned me on to the excitement of both academic medicine and research. And throughout my career, I've continued to do research. I have a paper I'm going to submit next month, and it's always been really important to me. I think one thing I want to say before I let my colleagues speak is one of the great things about UNLV is the potential for collaboration. And I just look in this front row, but with our health science schools and behavioral health science as well. I see Dr. Paul in the front row. We really have the capacity to do research that's going to make a difference in our community. And then with our hospital partner, UMC, we have the capacity to further change patient lives. And that's what it's all about. And I hope we all keep that in mind today with this wonderful program. Thanks, Mason.
Thank you, Dean. And as he was telling the story, I could picture him in the overalls, but also, when did you switch to the bow tie? Overall to bow tie? Was it overall with a bow tie? Yeah. No, but thank you, Dean. And again, as the Dean had mentioned, the theme collaboration and growth and opportunities. And on behalf of UMC, we really value these type of days. For us, it's personal too, because research and collaboration and trials and other things that go on between UNLV and UMC allows access for patients that otherwise would not have access, I think, would show up in emergency departments, go untreated and other things. But it also allows for cutting-edge technology and novel, new treatments and other progression that we're really aligned around. And that's what differentiates, as the dean and I have worked together for years, trying to elevate innovation and differentiating UNLV and UMC in the community as the largest academic health partner in the state of Nevada. So again, congratulations. I do want to echo, I can tell you Dr. Cools is over in the hospital. I mean, she's got a busy day. I mean, the trauma is just enough. That's a full-time job, but she's over educating and advocating on the behalf of research in the medical students and the residents and the fellows every day. So again, it's not one person, one department, it's all of us working together, as the dean mentioned. So again, it's a great day, and we got great speakers, and I agree, you look around the room and it's partnerships throughout the valley, and it's everybody making it happen. So thank you for everything that you're doing for our patients. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those opening remarks. And, you know, I've always worked for a school of medicine since I arrived in Las Vegas now almost 25 years ago. But I've always practiced at UMC, so the marriage of those two entities in particular is very, very dear to my heart. So next we're going to shift gears a little bit, and Dave Hatchett, who is the UNLV Vice President for Research, is ill today, and Gwen Marchand, who is the Associate Vice President for Research, has agreed to give us an overview of research at UNLV. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Marchand to the stage. Okay.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you, Deb. I am not Dave, and I didn't know until this morning that I was presenting his remarks, so bear with me. But I do want to say how excited I am. I'm genuinely thrilled to be here. I've been looking forward to this event. It's been on my calendar because it's nice to be able to celebrate. It's to be able to celebrate the work that you do. It's to be able to think about the impact that comes behind the research. When I'm going to show you numbers because part of that, part of Dave's remarks is to think about what is the message we want to give around our research activity. But behind all of these numbers you see are people, and there's impact, and there's resources that are coming available to our community. There are technologies that are available to you as researchers and faculty that you would not ordinarily have access to without research and the research funding that comes behind it. So I just hope that we take a reminder of that throughout the day to just remember the impact that comes behind these numbers and all of the amazing work that you're doing every day. So I'm going to talk for a moment about research measures for UNLV and how we quantify that impact. Also talk a little bit about our trajectories and patterns. And then when you're going to see me again, because I had my own thing in a little bit, I'll give you a little bit more, a very brief snapshot of where we are right now with the federal landscape. Okay, so this is you. This is your work. This is the work that you are doing. We have continuously grown over the last several years in our research expenditures. So for those of you that may be relatively new to research and federal expenditures, we think about how many proposals we submit, how many awards we receive, what are the research expenditures and the categories of those expenditures, and then also what kind of facilities and administration that we collect at the university to help support the work that we do. So over the last year, we have increased our awards by $10 million. And you can see in the blue, I'm looking at this one because it's the closest to me. You can see in the blue that about 50% of the awards that we have submitted and received are related to research. So we classify these, when grants come in, they're classified based off of the nature of the work that we're doing and some other criteria. But it's important to think about the fact that all of this work is contributing to that impact I'm talking about in some way, whether it's research or not. Just to give you a very brief snapshot, because I think I have like 1 more minute, probably, maybe 2. You can see that we were pretty steady for a while in our research expenditures at UNLV and our awards anyway. And then we shot up. Some of this is COVID, that asterisk is COVID funding. But you can see that we've made a pretty persistent change. Some of that is related to our status as a research-intensive university. But a lot of that is also related to just some really amazing energy on the landscape around collaborations, interdisciplinary partnerships, partnerships with the community, and a focus at the university around growing research. You can also see that, so this is HERD funding, the NSF's National Science Foundation. We submit our numbers every year that quantifies our expenditures. So this is not just grants. So when you see that big yellow 46, that's institutional. That comes from the part of your salaries, for example, that come from the state that you dedicate to research. But you can also see that a portion of that, a fairly big portion, is from federal funders. A little bit of a challenge right now. We're a little bit worried about that, but we have a lot of hope that, and I'll talk about that in another minute. Okay. And so just some highlights to think about today as you're thinking about the resources that are available to you as UNLV faculty, as students, as collaborators, and hopefully we can have more, we can continue this trajectory. There's other, not just federal resources, but also when we think about foundations and diversifying our funding, clinical trials. Michelle Tomasino is going to talk about that today. We have an opportunity to think more broadly about how we invite other people to be a part of our work. But we do have, you can see that in the last year, everything has been up. So we've increased our proposals that we've submitted, 823 proposals. That's an enormous amount of research activity. Up 6.3%. Our awards increased by over 8%. Our expenditures by 15%. And then we've recovered those costs to support research as well. So all in all, thank you for the work that you're doing. This is all reflective of the incredible work that our faculty are doing and your efforts, and we deeply appreciate it, and we hope we can continue to support you. Okay. This icon.
Good. Thank you so much, Dr. Marchand. Next, I'm going to call up the panel of Associate Deans. And our next section is entitled Opportunities for Collaboration. I'm going to ask all the Associate Deans in this next group to come up to the podium and have a seat to my left. And it'll just make for a more efficient transition. And our Associate Deans for Research, we get together monthly, and we talk about topics that are germane to all of us, and also we get to know each other. And we thought it would be a great idea for us all to get together and talk about not only what we do, but how we can collaborate. So the first person I'm going to call is Dr. Jeffrey Ebersol, who's a professor and associate dean for research at the UNLV School of Dental Medicine.
How do I get started, or do I need to start something here?
Yep. You go ahead and click forward. Yep. Okay, there you are.
There we go. All right. Well, first of all, Deb, thanks for inviting all of us here. I think one of the things that we continue to try to do and have done as Associate Deans for Research is to look over the entirety of the things that are going on and the changes that are occurring at UNLV over the last decade plus of time and identify unique opportunities. Science that is funded today is team science, so that we need to continue to look for opportunities to collaborate, to bring in multidisciplines and create new entities. So Deb actually gave us sort of a timing order as well as templates of information to present, so I'll try to adhere to that. So again, I'm in the Office of Research and Scholarship at the dental school here up the street. She asked us to give a little bit of information about the program. Some may be aware we're actually in 3 buildings up the street. Our A building, Our A building is our main clinical building. can't find a pointer here. Okay, is a clinical education building, but one of the things that most people aren't aware of is we also run a dental hospital in this building. We pay for and support and run a dental hospital because that's part of the educational model of our dental students getting out the door in 4 years. Our building B is a biomedical sciences building. It has wet research labs in it, and we'll talk a little bit about that down the road in a few more slides, as well as a dental public health residency program. We do an extensive amount of outreach. One of the problems in communities, particularly communities with health disparities, is oral health. And the impact of poor oral health from young kids that end up with brain abscesses because of dental cavities to our aging population and periodontal disease with Alzheimer's and cardiovascular disease is a very broad-based activity that goes on. And then finally, we have Building D, which is our newest building that houses our graduate programs, again, also clinical operatories where our faculty practice. We run, and there's a number of graduate programs there, a general practice residency program, orthodontics, pediatric dentistry, and a new one of anesthesiology, dental public health, and we have an international program with 12 internationally trained dentists who are coming here to end up getting training and their licensure capabilities within the U.S. So we're expanding the population of dentists, hopefully in the state of Nevada. When we talk about research, and again, I think most people are not aware of the sort of the breadth and depth of research in dentistry. Many of our accrediting agencies have a requirement or an expectation to do research. I wanted to, in the first bullet there, emphasize that actually one of the 6 standards in our accreditation process is to assure that we are doing research, i.e. creating new knowledge in our discipline. That's what it's all about. Not just the process of research, but the outcomes of that research. We have to provide opportunities for our faculty, and we have to provide opportunities for our students to be engaged in this. So it is a fundamental portion of the mission of dental schools across the U.S., including our own. I highlighted the next bullet there. Oral health sciences research rather than dental research, because you say dental research and people often think about, well, a new toothpaste, a mouthwash, how do we make a toothbrush a little bit better? Yes, that's part of dental research, but oral health sciences contains a breadth of activities in materials and biomaterials, implant-type sciences. Infection and inflammation, the diseases of the oral cavity are infections and inflammation. Cell biology, including stem cell biology, and people are now putting genes together to try to grow new teeth. That's something that will happen probably within the next couple decades at the most. We have our cross-cutting areas where oral health fits into nutrition and aging, and we are always involved in dental device and clinical testing of materials and devices that are out there. We run a core laboratory, a wet bench laboratory for growing bacteria, testing host responses. We have tissue culture in there that we're doing cell biology on as well, and we have a materials laboratory as well that actually does materials testing for stability for long-term use in the oral cavity. The kind of grants and in-kind support that we have over the years and continue to have, and again, I just sort of put a bulleted list here, but a variety of them, I think, match up well with things that are going on in other parts of the institution. Salivary diagnostics, an important biological fluid that has biomarkers, not just for oral disease, but local reflection of systemic issues that are going on. We deal with cell biology, macrophage biology, for example, in the immune response and how one responds to vaccination. We've been involved in the NEHAN grant, which is a focus on holistic geriatric health. We provide a dental component to that. We've been involved in the clinical and translational research network there and supporting the clinical and translational sciences through that process, and are also involved with the COBRE grant through the NIPM, the Nevada Institute of Personalized Medicine. And finally, one of the big things that we do for this institution as a community-engaged institution is our outreach to the community. We are taking care of dental health and oral health needs of children and many adults across the state of Nevada, not just Southern Nevada. The challenges that we have, and some of these will probably ring true with you as well, time and effort for our faculty to do research. The ability to recruit populations in this state to clinical research. And I found this when I was at my previous institution in Kentucky, and that is most individuals at least see dental schools as a place to go to get cheap treatment, more often reactive treatment. I got a problem, I need a tooth fixed. They don't understand what an R1 research institution does, and that an R1 research institution is dependent upon community volunteers to support the development of new protocols, new treatments, new therapies. Funding challenges with dentistry, limited number of foundations and philanthropics that are targeting oral health, so it's a bit more of a challenge than with some of the disease targets that are out there in diabetes or Alzheimer's. The opportunities, last but not least, is periodontitis. Gum disease is a chronic inflammatory disease, lasts for a lifetime. We now know that it is linked, at the very least associated, if not a comorbidity, in cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, pregnancy outcomes, and rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, things that are being done at other parts of the institution. We have linkages to biomedical engineering, again, developing new materials, 3D printing, digital dentistry is a very big area moving forward. We have studies ongoing in oral cancer biology and have a role in clinical trials currently by supporting this local environment here on the Shadow Lane campus with facilities to handle samples. We want to become more involved in actually helping to run those clinical trials or having oral health be part of those clinical trials. So our future goals to end this is a PhD program in oral health sciences. We've been going through the process through UNLV, which is not an easy process to try to get that. Expanding the role of our core laboratory in supporting clinical trials. As medicine increases the number of clinical trials, we want to make sure that we're positioned to help support that. Obviously, a collaborative role in the evolving academic health center in research, teaching, and service part of what the academic health center would do. And finally, trying to get an electronic health record system in which dental information interacts with medical information, and we all have that information on the same patient at the different places where we exist. So with that, I'll pass it along.
Next, I'd like to introduce you to Hunghwa Lee. She's the Interim Associate Dean for Research at the UNLV School of Nursing. And here you are.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm not the first speaker because I can base Dr. Aborso's presentation for nursing, but I'm highlighting nursing schools research at this point. My understanding is I can have 6 minutes, right? So, School of Nursing, I just wanted to share we are celebrating 60 years of anniversary this year. So we have quite a history. Our mission is to advance our healthcare science by preparing nursing clinicians and educators and leaders, researchers who help with wellness for individuals and families and communities through education, scholarship, practice, and community engagement. So as you see here, we are focusing on community-engaged research and also interdisciplinary nursing science a lot. Secondly, I included the wide range of academic programs that we offer. So starting from the accelerated program, 4th semester BSN, we admit 104 students every semester, so 3 times a year. It's a big undergraduate nursing program. And we also have a 3-semester direct entry MSN program. We have so many diverse specialty for MSN, psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, family nurse practitioner, certified certified nurse midwife, nurse educator program, and also we're gonna launch CRNA program this fall, certified nurse, registered nurse anesthetist program this fall. We have doctorate nursing practice, DNP, and also PhD. Our PhD program is only PhD in nursing in Nevada. So we did a lot of teaching and providing education toward the future nurses and scientists and clinicians. We do have 48 full-time faculty members who bring a lot of diverse expertise in clinical expertise and research expertise, which I'll kind of give you a little bit more detail in the next few slides. Out of 48, we have 6 tenure track and 8 tenured faculty members who lead different, very diverse research program span from basic science, applied health, and community engagement, and also education, innovation, education too. So I just highlighted this, just a few, based on our ongoing study at this point. So we target the main topic for our research include brain health, sleep, trauma, maternal child health, chronic disease, mental health, and health system. I see that some common cross-cutting research theme across our own faculty's research program, which are biobehavioral health disparities, and community engagement research, and innovation in education. We have strong community partners, which I will also introduce a little bit later, but none of this study can be done by one single nurse. We are working a lot with, collaborating a lot with across campus and across the community. But we do have, inside the nursing school, we have very strong Office of Research support, pre-award, post-award, and we do have applied biomedical research lab, wet lab. So some of us are doing, biomarker research. And faculty group also, faculty is involved in some, very voluntary scholarship or research activities, including RN Rise. So this is Rebel Nurse, Research, Innovation, and I think Scholarship for Excellence. So we kind of been, it's been successful to creating new proposal across, again, different shared expertise among our nursing faculty. And we do have also intramural award opportunity available inside our school, and many utilize Clinical Stimulation Center for Nursing Education Science. I know it's tiny, but I tried to kind of include all our ongoing, nursing science research program by nursing faculty. So many of us are continuously, funded by, quite competitive funding, including NIH R21, R25, NIGMS CTRRN pilot, mechanism, Tri-Service Nurse Research Program, HRSA, and also foundation grant, including MACE Foundation. So I kind of use different color code in the names. So those in pink are tenure track, and underlined pink are tenured faculty. In parentheses, that's it's pink. If it's pink, that means external, extramural funding mechanism, and also greens are intramural. So starting from the top middle, our research portfolio includes work in stress, resilience, and mental health in diverse population, college students and military service members, and also biobehavior, sleep study, brain health. My own study is mild TBI. We have some clinical trial, and also chronic condition, including cystic fibrosis group, and also cardiovascular risk, health promotion, maternal health, child mental health, youth, promoting youth health, and also health disparities, community-based like acculturation, and different type of the target groups as well. So as you see, we are doing a lot of different type of research project, which we heavily engaged, community partners, which I show you here. So the main the challenge we have at the School of Nursing is we need more like expanded infrastructure for larger scale clinical trial, translational research. But I see that we have a strong kind of commitment and strength in community integration, strong partnership with the community, including more than 50 local national partners, including Southern Nevada Health District, CCSD, other local universities, and also some nursing organization, forensic nursing, and ethnic minority nursing institution like APINA, Filipino Nurses Association, so forth, and military and healthcare network. So I see a lot of opportunity. We are actively, pursuing, research project to advance the health in our community. So our goal is we wanted to expand more interdisciplinary research program across the health science, across the campus and beyond, in our community. And also we wanted to secure, increase the number of external funding and, competitive research programs. And also we wanted to increase our visibility as a School of Nursing in nation as a leading science program for brain health, trauma, chronic illness in vulnerable population. So with that, I'm closing my presentation. Feel free to contact me for any opportunity in brainstorming any ideas. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So next we're going to hear from Jay Shen, who's a professor in the School of Public Health and also the Associate Dean for Research. Dr. Shen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Here we just based on the Dr. Cole's the template, we just summarize what our School of Public Health does. Next slide, please.
You can advance your own slides.
Yeah. So first, we have our school. We have 4 departments. We have about 50 full-time academic faculty. You can see our 4 departments. The first one, we just changed name to Department of Environmental and Global Health, which means we're going to expand our research area in the international perspective. So we have all the departments like epidemiology and biostat, healthcare element and policy, and social behavioral health. So among our 50 academic faculties, those are the expertise or area of research we have here. You can see you have a bunch of, I'm not going to read every single one of them. So you can see basically we have a lot about environmental health, about global health, social determinants, disparities, healthcare delivery, and also a lot of methodology, like a biostat, this kind of focusing on different epidemiology, infectious disease, chronic diseases. Also, particular in our healthcare department, we have a new area for more about technologies like AI, HIT, machine learning, those kind of new emerging technologies in healthcare. So those are we have a very broad range of expertise and research activity experience in our school. So we have several degree programs. The first one is the PhD in public health, but we do have 4 concentrations, you can see. Environmental and global health, and epidemiology and biostat, and health service management and policy, and finally, social and behavioral health. Kind of pretty much matched our departments, 4 departments. Then we have a master public health with actually 5 areas. So 4 concentrations plus we just added a new one. The public health is a general degree, or general track, so 5 tracks. Also, we have executive master of healthcare nutrition program and a general regular master of healthcare nutrition program. Then we have 2 bachelor programs. So what I do have to mention, for the public health master degree, we do have 2 joint programs. One is the joint with the dental school. Another one joined with the medical school. So we have an MD and PhD joint program. So since we have those are the program we have. So look at the research areas. You can see we have several research institutes. You can see here over there, Center for Health Disparity Research, and then Nevada Institute for Children Research and Policy. And we have another, it's not official kind of center, but it's more like coalition. We call it Nevada Minority and Health Equity Coalitions. Those are the more research on the community project-related centers in our school. For the research resources we have for faculty, we do have some data available in the school. And the software, plus we have several labs as well. So then opportunity for collaborations, we really have a bunch of lots of collaborating works within the UNLV as well as with the community. You can see I highlighted several here. Like just first one, CTRN is a multi-institutional collaboration in the Mountain West area. The HRSA grant, I'll have also another one with DOD, as working with the medical school, led by Dr. Coles. Those are a few examples. Also, we have area for, you can see here, few areas for research. Maternal health, we have several federal grants supporting that one. We have some projects all over the places, healthcare, health economics, particularly social determinants of health, also like the emergency department visits, a lot of stuff. So again, those are just a few highlights. If you want more, I can provide more, and if you contact me, I'll be more specific. Those projects. Grants, this achievement and impact. On average, during the last few years, our school faculty publish about between 100 to 200 papers a year, usually, peer-reviewed journal a year. Then during the last few years, we secured funding about 10 to 20 million a year. That's pretty good. I mean, also our faculty attend over 50 national and international conferences on annual basis. And also, you can see the top countries cite or download our faculty publications. That's 2023. You can see USA, we got about over 5,000 download. United Kingdom, about 1,400. So you can see all the top list for downloading our research publications. So those are our achievement. For challenges, you can see pretty obviously during the last few months, you can see 7 of the 11 grants terminated at the UNLV came from our school. So we pretty much got a pretty big impact about this current new impact of federal policy. Also, we may not see any funding in the next few years for the DER, diversity grant, because our school will have a lot of funding came from the area in the focus on the diversity and disparity issues. So we probably will get less funding in the next few years. And so also we feel like we are lack of all type of research grant in general on campus as well as in our school. Also, we feel like the challenges, some local communities may not be very familiar with their research funding, especially our grants. They're not very familiar. So that creates an opportunity for us. So number one, we need to further enhance our research infrastructure and the resources, and trying to get more collaborations among the faculties on campus, as well as the community partners, trying to work with the community to try to get more interdisciplinary research or get more funding, especially research fund. Then seeking both the private and public funding resources. And finally, engaging the potential research partners in local communities. Last slide, we will see Las Vegas probably become the viable health research center and hub in the next 2 decades by developing 1 or 2 strong health research programs in Southern Nevada. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shen. So this is like a cocktail party. You just get a little taste of everything. And hopefully this will be a great kickoff for additional collaboration. Next, I'd like to bring to the stage, or he's already on the stage, Dr. Peter Kaufman. He's a professor and associate dean for research in the School of Integrated Health Sciences.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting us. It's great to have this particular day follow our own Health Research Symposium that was conducted last Friday, and I see a number of familiar faces here of people who attended, in particular Dr. Kavita Batra, who gave one of the plenary talks. Very successful event, and I think it kind of predicts the objectives that you have in more intense collaboration. So I'm going to give just a very basic, brief thumbnail sketch of the School of Integrated Health Sciences, and I probably can't do it justice, all things considered, but just to kind of seed some thoughts. We have about 30 tenure-track faculty who are involved in research. Our main departments are kinesiology, nutrition sciences, physical therapy, health physics, and diagnostic sciences and occupational therapy. And we bestow a number of degrees across the entire range of Bachelor of Science through PhD, as you see there, and the particular degrees differ somewhat by program, and that's probably not necessarily very important for this particular audience, but it gives you an idea of the spectrum. Current initiatives. So some of the things that our faculty are involved in is actually the development of more objective assessments of physical fitness, body composition, and nutrition status. We have a very considerable effort in increased sharing of labs and facilities, both inside and outside the School of Integrated Health Sciences, and in particular the application of clinical trials expertise. We actually have a fair amount of expertise, not necessarily in contract clinical trials with industry, but with investigator-initiated clinical trials and almost any behavioral or biomedical intervention. And that is something that maybe I'll comment on a little bit further down the line, but that is one of our strong suits. In terms of current initiative research areas and priorities, the labs that we have, and I divide this up into 2 categories. One of them is the physical laboratories, and the other is kind of intellectual resources. On the physical laboratory side, we actually have a very considerable expertise in spectroscopy, radiochemistry, environmental health physics. If it has to do with radiation, we probably have a way to measure it, quantify it, and apply it. We have excellent dual energy X-ray absorptiometry DEXA lab, which is certified with all the appropriate certifications and permits. We have a state-of-the-art biomechanics lab and gait and balance lab, so that goes across a number of neurological diseases and has a lot of potential for collaboration there. Exercise physiology, and maybe a little bit more unusual in the exercise and physical activity domain is the physically demanding professions research lab, and that includes everything from extreme athletes to military demanding environments. And so those are areas that I feel I can represent with confidence in which we have expertise. There's some intellectual resources that I want to emphasize as well. As you know, we're getting the school, the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, is installing a magnetic research imaging center, and we actually have considerable expertise in research design, data storage, software, and so forth, and that comes in the form of Dr. Ayan Sengupta, who's, even though 7 Tesla machines have now proliferated quite a bit around the globe, but it's still, much less than 3 Tesla. But he has extensive experience, having worked in laboratories, everything from between 3 and 7 Tesla. And I think that this is a future direction in which we expect to be quite productive. We have extensive experience in lifestyle and physical activity assessments. And again, to come back to clinical trials methods, we have a lot of experience in monitoring multi-site coordination and implementation of everything from large multi-center behavioral interventions, preventive interventions, as well as biomedical, everything from drugs and devices. And I think that collectively in our School of Integrated Health Sciences, we actually have opportunities for discussing potential research directions. Neurodegenerative diseases. Most of our team has actually now is present here in the School of Medicine. We were sad to see our Department of Brain Health transition, but at the same time, we're also very happy for them because I think that this is a context in which they can do some absolutely wonderful work. But we do have some neurodegenerative expertise remaining within the School of Integrated Health Sciences, and that comes in the form of our expertise on Down syndrome and in Parkinson's disease between Dr. Merrill Landers and Tessa Hilgenkamp. I think that these are areas where I hope we continue to collaborate with the Department of Brain Health and the School of Medicine. We also have a fair amount of experience with federal funding agencies. This is one of the challenging aspects today because there's so much change going on. But that change is embedded against a background of a lot of experience at NIH. And I think some of that is worthy of discussing, maybe in a different forum, but the directions in which we might go and how we might exploit opportunities as they arise is something that's worth discussing. Current initiatives, research priorities, opportunities for collaboration are numerous. I think that what we've seen from the other presenters, there's a broad range that covers the entire spectrum of biomedical and behavioral research. And I think it's only up to our imagination as to what we want to pursue. I think a key element in all of that is access to population when we talk about, especially human, both preclinical and clinical research. That aspect is something for which I think the School of Medicine is really vital for our success. So with respect to, I've mentioned this already, so I'm just going to leave that alone. I think the challenges are the same as others have mentioned: time, compartmentalization rather than integration, an ongoing planning process that I think is sometimes difficult to initiate, but once you get going, I think good things come from it. And so we hope that there will be further opportunities for collaboration. So future goals, sharing of experience, recruitment of patients, dialogue and brainstorming. And I think that that is what we need more of, and I hope that we get engaged into that. So thank you very much.
And thank you. And we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to hear from Michelle Paul, who's the Assistant Vice President of Mental and Behavioral Health. And she's going to give us a window into opportunities in that domain.
Thank you, Deborah. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. To shake it. There's so much to look at and listen to and read about, and that's my goal, too, is to inspire your curiosity and excitement about the opportunities in research in mental and behavioral health. So yes, I am the Executive Director of UNLV Practice, which is a newly named Institute of Mental and Behavioral Health by the Regents just a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to start out with challenges and solutions instead of ending, but I will end with them as well. Nevada is 51st in the nation for access to quality mental health care for children, 48th for adults, and 48th overall. Part of the beauty of the mental and behavioral health disciplines is that they are multifaceted, but one of the downsides of the overarching disciplines of mental and behavioral health are we tend to be fragmented across multiple colleges, schools, programs, and so on. And in fact, I represent schools that are typically not represented or have not typically been represented: the College of Liberal Arts, the College of Urban Affairs, and the College of Education, alongside our great partners over in the School of Medicine through the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Health Sciences. The mission of UNLV Practice as an institute is there in front of you, but it's really about strategically uniting our mental and behavioral health training programs for the greatest impact to address that mental health crisis. We can't keep doing things the same way and expect different results. And so alongside all of these schools underneath the Academic Health Initiative, UNLV Practice is asked to represent the mental and behavioral health voice. And I'm going to be spending most of my time focusing on those programs that lead to a licensure. In Nevada, healthcare providers include those who become licensed professional counselors, marriage and family therapists, psychologists, and licensed social workers. Goals and opportunities for collaboration include our goals to become a center of excellence or a hub or a beacon for the community so that they think of UNLV and UNLV Practice as the place to go to get really good information about mental and behavioral health. We also have training clinics. We, in combination with our partners over in the Couple and Family Therapy Program, there are 2 training clinics that offer services to the community at large and provide, roughly 12 to 15,000 hours of service per year, and those are services provided by graduate students working under licensed faculty supervision. So we also take pride in best practice clinical training, and we take pride in best practices around policy advocacy and government relations. Specific to research, we have data. We have lots of it. For example, we have over 1,000 psychological assessments with lots of data around cognition, memory, visual spatial reasoning, thinking and problem solving across multiple domains, starting from age 5 and all the way up. So there's lots of data there. We also collect outcomes on all of our cases, so lots of data on symptoms and differential psychological diagnosing. We provide infrastructure. Oftentimes people have great ideas, but they don't have a place to execute those. So for example, we provide the overarching infrastructure for faculty who have ideas about putting together a new treatment program. So we have an early serious mental illness set of programs that are implemented by and through UNLV Practice's training clinic. And I'm here also to represent and be a voice for collaboration. So let's talk about that. I'm going to touch on some key achievements and impact across these different schools. And up in the upper corner, you'll see the programs that are embedded in those colleges. So in the College of Education, they're super excited and proud of their school-based mental health and workforce development programs through apprenticeships, through an apprenticeship model. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. The Caregiver Coaching Project is behavior analysts working with parents and caregivers of children with neurodevelopmental needs via telehealth, teaching them how to increase the behaviors they want to see and decrease the behaviors they don't want to see. In the College of Liberal Arts, I already mentioned the early serious mental illness work, and I'm going to be remiss if I don't mention names along the way, and I know I'm going to miss some people, but we have Dr. Dan Allen overseeing that, and we have a nice partnership with the Department of Psychiatry through Mojave to early identify and intervene with kids as young as age 12 who show early signs of psychosis or of later developing a psychotic disorder, and as early as age 15 for those who show signs of early bipolar illness. We have geriatric mental health with Dr. Wren. We have eating, sleep, research with Dr. Christensen, assessment of personality and psychopathology, substance use, trauma, and anxiety with Dr. Short, PTSD, behavioral addictions. In the College of Urban Affairs, similarly, we have active duty soldier mental health, mindfulness and violence prevention, homelessness, trauma, and so forth. And in the Kerkorian School of Medicine, the couple and family therapy program, they look at doctor-patient interactions and dialogues and on and on. I think I'm going to be repeating many of the things that have already been discussed today. Our challenges are fragmentation, capacity constraints, and infrastructure needs, as well as aligning ourselves across, we have different academic, administrative, and clinical structures and priorities. So I think we really need to be willing to be flexible, to think outside of the box, to recognize that the way any particular unit does it is going to be different from the way a different unit does it, and figuring out ways in which we can each flex a little bit and in order to come together with a shared goal. So my call to action is that we shape the future of mental and behavioral health together, side by side. And our North Star remains clear, really. It's to transform mental and behavioral health so that everyone, everywhere, has a path to healing and support. Thank you.
Okay, our last speaker from this panel is going to be Jorge Fonseca. He's an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science in the College of Engineering. And here's your slides.
Okay. All right. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Jorge Fonseca from Computer Science. I am not an associate dean or assistant dean, but I'm happy to be here in lieu of Dr. Travia. And so, let me lift this a little bit higher. Yeah, okay. So the College of Engineering actually has a lot of faculty now looking at other departments. We have 85 faculty, and we're hiring 4 more, so we're pretty much reaching 90, and I'm pretty confident that we'll get to 100 at least this decade. And we're made up of 4 main departments, which are civil and environmental engineering, computer science, electrical computer engineering, and mechanical engineering. And like I said, I'm from computer science, and we have about 3,400 undergraduate students and about 450 graduate students. I believe that the largest of those departments is going to be computer science, and we offer PhDs for all of those programs, 13 masters and 8 undergraduate degrees. We also have interdisciplinary research with this College of Business, where we also have the data analytics degree, which has about 100 master's students, and I think that's one of the largest ones as well. And we just celebrated the opening of the Advanced Engineering Building, which I was very proud to talk about, but then I showed up today and I saw this building, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just skip that part. So let's talk a little bit about research. So we have about $17 million last year in terms of expenditures, and some of the biomedical research that we do is listed here, and I can't claim to know all about this, but what I do know is that we have very, very strong abilities when it comes to AI and deep learning, and from the engineering side, there's surgical robotics, labs on chips, biosensors and devices, and really a very, very robust program when it comes to engineering and computer science. So as you see from the previous list of topics, basically they are all really supported by research labs and computational facilities, whether those are cloud computing or for the hard engineerings like the physical labs with all the tools. We have a lot of lab space, and while we have several already collaborations ongoing, we really, really believe that we can expand upon that, and that's kind of why I'm here. So, but before that, let me talk to you about some of the things that we have done together with the School of Medicine. So I myself, I'm part with Dr. Cummings on the Clinical Trials Observatory, and I'm very, very happy to be in that. I also work with Dr. Edwin O when it comes to the wastewater management. And I know a lot of my other colleagues, particularly in computer science, as you see from this list, are working on things related to AI, deep learning, and a couple of other. But again, I know more from computer science, but there are a lot of people from engineering also working on that. So these are just a couple of them. These are some of the topics, I suppose, that I can try to sell you on for collaboration. So like I said, with AI, we can kind of split it into data analytics, machine learning, and from the more physical side of things like devices, imaging particularly. I know some of my colleagues that are working on, image classification, and well, I don't want to get too in-depth on that, but yeah, and of course, clinical trial research as well. And if any of you are interested in finding collaborators, and like I said, like this year we are hiring for people. So we have a lot of people that are coming in that are always looking for collaborations, filling, summer work and things like that. So there is capacity there for collaboration. You're not going to find that you're going to get there and there's like, oh, we're all busy already. We're not. We have people coming in and we're very interested in these collaborations. And so if you're interested, please reach out to our Associate Dean, Mohamed Trabia, and he can put you in touch with the right people that can offer you expertise for that. So please do. And these are just more examples of the collaborations. One of the things that I really wanted to say is that when it comes to collaborations, 1 + 1 is not equal to 2. It's more than 2, right? Especially when you're looking at interdisciplinary, we can really, I know that a couple of my colleagues have talked about things like AI capabilities that they have, but when you come to talk to the engineers who are doing that research and furthering that field, they're the ones that can kind of bring to the table and say, these are the latest research on that maybe you could apply. And then of course that you can reach out to other colleagues to work on that. But by coming to this computer scientists and the engineering, you can kind of get that cutting edge to further that research just a little further and get that grant or get that trial going and all of these things. So really, I hope that you reach out to us and that we can do some great collaborations and, work together. So, thank you. I kept my short.
Yes. All right. All of these panelists can exit the stage, and we thank them for their insights and kind of ongoing. We've all talked about setting up different collaborative networks so we can really find faculty members in each one of the other academic health areas. And there are obviously other schools at UNLV as well, but I wanted to bring these into focus. So next, I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker today, Dr. Jeffrey Cummings. He's a research professor in the Department of Brain Health, now at the Kerkorian School of Medicine at UNLV. He's one of the top researchers in the world on Alzheimer's disease and other neurodegenerative conditions. There's a brief bio in your program. It's included on page 8. And today he will talk about Alzheimer's disease, clinical trials, and emerging therapies. Dr. Cummings, thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. I got all these emails from Deborah as we were going back and forth on this, so I realized how intimately you were involved in every organizational aspect of this. So really a pleasure to be invited today to tell you about our work, and I see a bunch of my collaborators in here, so it's an example of collaboration, and glad to see you. Before I start, I wanted to say one thing about research, because we have younger people here who are looking forward to a research career. The point is that research is about hope, because you ask a question and seek an answer because you think that answer will make a difference. So every little answer is about making the world a better place. And that's how I think about my research, and it's how I think about your research as I listen to you. that these are small, tiny advances, but that's the way research advances. It's like a giant house that's built one brick at a time. There's rarely a breakthrough that really changes a whole field. It's really about incremental advances in our understanding, and together we create a new kind of understanding from all of the different contributions that we make together. So that's how I think about research and how this research that I'm going to show you came about. So here are my disclosures. I consult a lot. That's how I know a lot about drugs. And I try to help many companies to help make better drugs for patients. So here are the disclosures that you'll know. So I'm going to talk about three things. One is drug development. Just make sure we're all on the same page. Think about drug development in the same way. I'm going to show you how we study the drug development pipeline. We've been at this for 10 years, and we've learned a lot. And to me, it's really exciting. Every time I look into what we're doing, I'm excited by what we're finding. And then I'm going to show you what we find. It's really interesting. So here is drug development in a single slide, right? This is what we do. So you start with non-clinical studies, and Jeff is here and runs a laboratory where non-clinical studies are done. Then it goes to phase 1, first in human. For me, these people are heroic because the drug that they take has never been taken by a human being before. It's coming right out of the animals, and you don't know what it's going to do. You have done everything you can to de-risk it, but it's never seen a human being before. So the phase 1 people, I think, are really very, very heroic. You try to find out about the safety of the drug and the tolerability of the drug in that group of people and how the body acts on the drug, pharmacokinetics. Everything goes well, you go to phase 2. This is the first time the drug has been seen by a clinical population, in my case, Alzheimer's disease. Do you get a signal? Does it look like the drug is doing something in the brain that you're trying to achieve? And increasingly, we have these fantastic biomarkers that allow us to draw that conclusion. So we do make clinical measures, of course, but in phase 2, you might not see a clinical measure. You might just see a biomarker, and you would say, this biomarker shows me enough that I'm going to go ahead and move this drug ahead into a larger trial. So if you make that decision, then you'd go to phase 3. These are very large trials, 600 to 1,000 people. And the idea here is you must show a clinical benefit, because the FDA is not going to approve a drug that doesn't show clinical benefit. So you must show it in phase 3. That's your only opportunity. And if that goes well, then you would take it to FDA, and with great luck, it would be approved for marketing. How often does that happen? Very rarely. The drug development failure rate in Alzheimer's disease hovers around 99%. So out of 100 drugs that come out of the laboratory, maybe one will make it. So there's a lot of failure. And one of the things we're really trying to do is use computational strategies and biomarkers to change that failure rate. That's a crazy failure rate, right? We shouldn't allow that, but we need better ways of predicting success, and the biomarkers and computational strategies are likely to do that. So how do we go about our work that I'm going to tell you about? Well, we use clinicaltrials.gov, and if you're not familiar with this, it's just a great registry, because every clinical trial that's done in the United States or uses U.S. resources has to be registered on clinicaltrials.gov. It must be one of the few registries in the world where it's illegal not to register your trial. So it is quite comprehensive. It's very thorough. And we can look at all of the drugs in clinical trials. And that's what we've been doing. Just to make the point that the clinical trial has to be registered within 30 days of randomizing the first patient. So that's pretty up to date all the time also. It's not like we're waiting a long time to get these trials on and we're not sure whether the trial is going on. We know within 30 days whether the trial is going on. And my gang has put a system onto clinicaltrials.gov so that I get an email if some company puts a new clinical trial onto clinicaltrials.gov. So I know it within 24 hours of a new trial being initiated on clinicaltrials.gov. And our database is continuously updated in a live way. So we are very knowledgeable and have this wonderful database about ongoing clinical trials. And we've now curated backwards to about 2015. So we can look at all sorts of trends in clinical trials and learn from those trends. And that's what's so important. So this is the UNLV Clinical Trial Observatory. We publish it annually, and it's accessed online about 60,000 times annually. That's 150 times a day that somebody looks at this work. And it's recorded on the journal website. So it is really remarkable how this work has been accessed and found to be valuable by people throughout the world. I mean, I'm flabbergasted by it, right? I mean, this interested me, and it turned out well, there were a lot of people interested in this. Just great. So here's how it works. There are 182 trials ongoing in Alzheimer's disease today. So for me, that's 182 laboratories collecting information that we're going to use. So we download it into our database. We then, and this is done, by the way, in conjunction with data scientists at the Genomic Medicine Institute in Cleveland Clinic. These are longtime collaborators of mine, and they're very knowledgeable about both pharmacology and bioinformatics. And then we do research studies. We collaborate with other academic investigators. We collaborate with biopharma. We give information to government agencies. We have all sorts of ways of interacting around these data. And increasingly, people are coming to us for the data. So that's what I want. I want us to be the center of drug development intelligence in Alzheimer's disease and eventually in neurodegenerative disease. So now I'm going to show you what we find, okay? I've told you how we do it. Now I'm going to tell you what we find, and we're fascinated by this. So in 2025 then, and our index date is January 1st, 2025. So everything I say was true on January 1st of this year. Now, if somebody started a trial since then, it won't be included in this analysis. And this, by the way, drives people crazy. And they give me emails. And they say, Jeff, you're not talking about our trial. And then I look, and it was started 2 days too late to be in this year's review. But it'll be in next year's review. So it's great. It's almost become a community project now. So in phase 1, there are 48 trials and 45 drugs. In phase 2, there are 86 trials and 75 drugs. That phase 2 is always the biggest of all of the phases of drug development, because, for example, a repurposed drug will start at phase 2. It will not have been in phase 1 for Alzheimer's disease. And then in phase 3, we have 48 trials with 31 drugs. The reason there are always more trials than drugs is because some drugs are in more than one trial. You're trying to understand something more about the drug than one trial can answer. And here's the figure that we make every year. And this is the reason people go to download this, is because of this figure. So let me just take you through it so you understand it. So in the middle is phase 3, that's the inner circle. The middle circle is phase 2, and the outer circle is phase 1. I've just shown you how many drugs there are there. The green slice of the pie at the top, those are all biologics. So they're given intravenously, intrathecally, intranasally, or some way other than orally. The purple drugs are biological drugs, are drugs that modify disease, but they're oral drugs. So they're the kind of drugs we would like to develop if we possibly could. Blue are drugs that address neuropsychiatric symptoms in Alzheimer's disease, and orange are drugs that are trying to improve cognition, not just slow progression of the disease. The green and purple drugs are about slowing disease. The orange drugs are about improving memory. So two different goals. Every color stands for one of the processes that is in the legend on the left. So we look at every mechanism that is involved. Is this drug aimed at amyloid? Is this drug aimed at tau? Is this an anti-inflammatory drug? And then the shape of the icon tells us which population we're in. So you see it might be a healthy volunteer, preclinical, which is a person who has amyloid in the brain, but is not yet symptomatic. They will become symptomatic. So preclinical trials are prevention trials. How great is that? We might be able to prevent Alzheimer's disease. That would be a goal worth striving for. Then we have prodromal populations, mild and moderate dementia and severe dementia. If we look over this, 74% of the drugs are disease targeted. That is, they're the ones that are aimed at slowing the disease process. 14% are cognitive enhancers, and 11% are drugs for neuropsychiatric symptoms. So you see that most of the work is on drugs that are aimed at the disease processes, aimed at slowing the disease. So if you said, what are we going to see in our clinics? What are you going to see for your parents? They are going to be these disease-slowing drugs. And I'm going to show you some of those. 33% of the pipeline is repurposed. That's a large percent. So repurposed means a drug was approved for some other disease. And now it looks like it could work in Alzheimer's disease. So I'm going to try it there. And those drugs can be developed faster because they've already been in animals, they've already been through phase 1, and you can put them right into a phase 2 trial. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then phase 1 this year is particularly well populated. Phase 1, of course, is the first step for many drugs. So if you have a robust phase 1, that predicts we're going to have more drugs coming through the pipeline. So we're excited to see this. We looked at mechanisms very closely. So here's another way of looking at it. The color tells you the phase that the drug is in, and the length of the bar tells you how many drugs are in that particular category. And what you can see is there's quite a few amyloid drugs. That's an area where we've had some success, so there's more amyloid. But there are quite a few tau drugs. And look at the number of inflammation drugs in the pipeline. There's a lot of inflammation in the brain in Alzheimer's disease. So can we control that? Can we make patients better or at least slow the disease if we decrease the inflammation? It's a great question, and there's a lot of drugs working on that. Transmitter receptors are well represented because that includes all of the psychiatric drugs and all of the cognitive enhancers. Synaptic plasticity is a good target and a target that's well represented in the pipeline. And then finally, I'll just mention the metabolism and bioenergetic drugs. These are the drugs that have worked in diabetes, and they're now being tried in Alzheimer's disease, particularly GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic. So it won in diabetes, it won in obesity, and in both those populations, it decreases the emergence of Alzheimer's disease. So that is really interesting. And we're going to know by the end of this year whether Ozempic works in Alzheimer's disease. So this is a really exciting year for that. It's the biggest set of clinical trials going on in the pipeline today. 1,300 populated clinical trials. We do track, I mentioned over time, what the pipeline looks over time. This is the number of new trials that were initiated. Now, trials last more than a year, right? So trials are going to be in the pipeline for several years. But you see that just in 2024, there were 56 new trials initiated. So that's a good number of trials. It's far fewer than cancer and far more than Parkinson's disease. So it's somewhere in the middle in terms of activity. When we saw a report last year and saw that it had declined from 42 new trials to 31 new trials, we thought, is this the beginning of an ugly trend? So I was really happy when I saw this data this year, and we could see that's not the case. We're right back up to where we had hoped to be by this time. If we look again at what's in the brain, what's in the pipeline, you see that small molecules directed at the disease process are the most common, followed by these biologic drugs that are administered intravenously. They become the major drug right now, and then cognitive enhancing agents and neuropsychiatric agents. Now, I mentioned that 33% of the drugs in the pipeline are repurposed, and I want to make a point about these because these are the drugs that academics work with, because they don't cost very much and they're not owned by a pharmaceutical company. So these are the drugs that we, you and I, can use in clinical trials. And I've done 2 of these trials, for example, when I was at the Lou Rubo Center. So these are the trials that academics work on. You see there are very few in phase 1. And I've just said, the reason you do repurposing is because you don't have to do phase 1. So that's why there are very few. But occasionally you have to do some reverse translation. Maybe it's an AIDS drug that was only tested in younger people in phase 1. And now you're going to put it into Alzheimer's disease. So you take it back to put it into some older patients in phase 1. Then phase 2, you see, has a lot of repurposed drugs in it. And that's where there's an opportunity for innovation. And that's the point I want to make here. This is where the academic work gets done. This is where you can develop new clinical measures, new biomarkers, new analyses, new trial designs, new ways of recruitment. And why is that important? Because pharma won't do it. Pharma won't take any risks. They're betting $50 million on their late phase trials. So they're not going to do a new something or other. So we have to prove it in academics and show that it's better than the existing methodologies. And then it will go into pharma and we'll get more drugs to our patients. That's what we're trying to do. And then you see in phase 3, again, very few repurposed drugs, and most of those repurposed drugs still are on patent. So they're in phase 3 because they're still owned by pharma. Most trials are sponsored by pharma. So altogether, 62% of all trials are sponsored by pharma. But if you look at phase 3, 75% of all trials, of all phase 3 trials, are done by pharma. So that means that, if you want new drugs, we're going to look to pharma for that, because 75% of them are going to be coming out of the pharmaceutical industry. So we collaborate a lot. Notice that in phase 2, it's 50-50. There's just as many academics in that group as there are pharmaceutical companies. Why is that? Because we can use these repurposed drugs and drive innovation. It's such an important aspect. Now, here's something that we started to look at a few years ago, and it was shocking to me to put these numbers together. How many people do we need to populate all of the phase 3 trials? 50,000. That's like a city that has to be recruited into clinical trials. And recruitment is very hard. So you can see why trials are slow when we have to recruit 50,000 people into clinical trials. When you look at it by phase, what you see is that 33,000 of those are in these large phase 3 trials. So most of your recruitment challenges are in phase 3, that late stage. Now we think we have a drug. Let's get it into a large phase 3 trial and see if it could be approved by the FDA. That's the question, but it takes a lot of people to get that answer. We looked at geographic representation in our trials, and not surprisingly, most phase 3 trials are global because there are not enough clinical trial sites in the United States in order to make a phase 3 trial that requires 34,000 people to be recruited quickly. So you must go global, and that would include global is kind of an odd definition here because we have almost no trials in Africa and very few in South America, and we have a lot of trials in Europe and a lot of trials in Asia. So global is sort of in quotation marks here. But phase 2 trials and phase 1 trials, most of them are done here in North America. We're lucky to have such a research commitment here in North America, but a fair number are done in Europe or Australia. So here was something that we asked for the first time this year. We realized that we had access to how many clinical trial sites were involved in each trial. So for the first time, we asked the question, how many? And it turned out there were roughly 2,200 clinical trial sites in the United States doing Alzheimer's trials, and about 2,300 in the rest of the world. So there are about as many clinical trial sites in the US as there are everywhere else. We then asked the question, well, how many of these trial sites are in more than one trial that we can see in the pipeline? And look how dramatically this went down. There's about 500 US sites and about 500 sites in the rest of the world that are doing more than one clinical trial. That means 75% of trials are done in sites that are only doing one trial. They're very inexperienced, and it's a problem with data quality when you have sites that only are doing one trial. When Kate and I were running the clinical trial program at the Luruvo Center, we were often doing 15 or 20 trials at a time. So the idea of doing one trial means it's a very inactive site. The other thing that we realized is that 7% of sites are in low and middle income countries, 7%. So if we want to grow the research infrastructure of the world, here's an obvious place to do it, because clinical trial sites are wonderful educational sites to bring in new scientific information to the population. And we should be doing that in low and middle income countries. One point about recruitment. Here I'm showing you in a darker color how long it takes to recruit a trial, and in the lighter color, how long the exposure is. That is, how long is the actual treatment of the patient. So if you have an 18-month exposure, how long does it take to recruit all of the patients that you need? And what you see is, for every single category, it takes longer to recruit the patients than it does to expose them to the drug. That's ridiculous. So we need in clinical trial infrastructure that recruits much more rapidly than we currently do. And look how bad this is for cognitive enhancers and neuropsychiatric symptoms. Let's take neuropsychiatric symptoms. The average length of treatment in the trial is 12 weeks. The average recruitment is 138 weeks. Why is that? It's because if my wife is agitated or psychotic, I'm not too happy about driving her back and forth to the clinical trial site. That's a very unattractive possibility that I have to convince her to get into the car and convince her to go to this dangerous site. And of course, there's resistance from both the patients and the caregivers to do that, and you see that reflected right here. But you see that we have to do a better job because we need these drugs, and we're going to have to figure out how to solve this recruitment problem. So I'll just say that there are a lot of drugs reading out this year. There are 12 drugs, well, maybe that's not a lot, 12 drugs reading out, including semaglutide, that's Ozempic. So that's probably the most important readout this year. But there are other drugs that we're going to learn a lot from. And you see that there are quite a few neuropsychiatric agents and a few cognitive enhancers. We'd love to have new drugs in every category. And then finally, this is work of Amanda. Amanda's here. We've been looking at the role of biomarkers. Our clinical trial observatory was very successful, or is very successful, so we thought, well, we should have a biomarker observatory. We received funding from the Alzheimer's Drug Discovery Foundation to pursue the construction of a biomarker observatory in a large database, and Jorge's very involved in this as well and mentioned this. And it allows us to look at how biomarkers are being used to accelerate trials. So you see, for example, that amyloid PET, which didn't even exist 10 years ago, is now being used as an eligibility criterion in a quarter of the trials. That's fantastic to see that kind of implementation of new biomarkers, new technologies into trials. And if we look at outcomes, fluid biomarkers by themselves are primary outcomes in 12% of trials. Well, that's pretty good when you consider that we have had fluid biomarkers for such a short period of time. So we're learning a lot about clinical trials. We're having a lot of fun doing it. We think it's important. It's been well received by the scientific community. You see that there's a diversity of targets in the pipeline. I think that's very healthy. We want to understand the biology, and we want to understand what part of the biology can be manipulated by therapy. You see that the phase 3 trials are large, and therefore they're mostly done globally. And it's important to know, of course, that most drugs in the pipeline will fail, but a few will succeed, and we think those that are using biomarkers are more likely to succeed. And one of our goals is to show that as we see this data emerge over time. So here's my team, and you'll see that we enjoy support, and we have a great team. Somebody said today, science is a team sport, and it certainly is. So I thank you, and I say science forward. Thank you. Thank you. Are we taking questions or?
So I have not been in Dr. Cummings' office, but I assume his walls are full of plaques. And so for today, I would like to present him with a crystal paperweight. I assume he has lots of papers on his desk.
I do. I have way too many. Way too many.
And then if we can get a photograph.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. Next, I'm going to ask the speakers for our next panel to come up. And as we get started with our next panel, I'll just, this is going to be unlocking resources. So we have lots of resources throughout UNLV and beyond in our partner hospital, UMC. And we want to be sure that those of you in the audience, and by the way, we announced this morning that we were sort of able to do live stream, so there'll be some people live stream as well. So we want all of you to realize the resources that are available to you to conduct your research. So I thank you everyone for coming up. So I think I'm the first speaker in this. So I'm Deborah Kuhl's Associate Dean again for research, and I have the honor really of really leading a small but really active group of people. And in the Office of Research, Dr. Batra, who you will hear from a little bit later, our other leader is Karen Garden, who's in the back of the room. Many of you know her. She's been in Las Vegas for a very, very long time. We also have Dr. Segarabi. Don't you stand up? You just sat down. He just joined us as a research analyst. Molly Kelly is in the back of the room. She's our executive assistant, and all of these people have been very, very germane in bringing this program to you. Now, kind of hidden over here, behind this black drape, is Kathy Danheiser, and she's one of our grant coordinators who can really help you with grants, both how to apply and then how to maintain them, and we can help with that too. And then the next person is our timekeeper. So why don't you stand up for a moment? Alexa, Dora, she just joined us recently as an additional grant coordinator. So let's bring up my slides. So I've kind of given you a peek into the Office of Research. When I started in this position just a very few years ago, it was myself and an administrative assistant. So we've grown a bit since then. I want to provide you with an overview of resources in the School of Medicine and also an overview of our clinical departments. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that since you will be meeting people from our clinical departments. Just also describe kind of the structure and the workflow in our area and some of the strengths and opportunities as well. So an overview of the School of Medicine. You all know we started in 2017. We're about to matriculate our 5th class. We started with a class size of 60. We increased to 66, which is 10%, which we're allowed to do by LCME. And we have planned expansion to 90. I believe it's by 2030. Graduate medical education for us means they've already completed their MD degree, their residents and fellows, and they spend a minimum of 3 years training. And in many cases, like my training was 6 years after med school. Actually 7, I'm sorry. We also have 11 residency programs. You'll hear about those, 12 fellowship programs. We've just been approved for hematology, oncology, and forensic pathology. We have a little over 140 clinical and basic science faculty. Our practice plan is called UNLV Health, and it's a separate corporation as well. These are the 11 departments, including brain health, which joined us in January of this year. You'll be hearing more about them. So kind of behind the scenes, the structure, Dr. Batra works as our executive director, and she is multi-talented. And all of the people that I introduced really brought this symposium to bear. So we have different teams. So we have sponsored clinical trials. Michelle Tomasino from the Division of Research is going to talk to us about clinical trials, but the clinical trial coordinators are part of the School of Medicine, and we are committed to support the operations of clinical trials in conjunction with Michelle's group as well. We also have Team 2 to look at grants, and we're always looking for grants. I email many of the chairs and other investigators, often in the middle of the night, with a grant opportunity. And then we also we've started something new, which is sort of a data repository and analytic team. And Dr. Batra will tell us more about that as well. Grants, we have a variety of grants and grant funding. A lot of our grants are really service grants, and they may not be research grants. And we really rely upon a lot of collaboration with various areas within the Division of Research on main campus, and I see many people in the audience there as well. Our brain health grants have been transferred to us. They have NIH grants and many other. You can see that we have HRSA grants. We have, it's not DOD, it's a medical health services grant that's studying military-civilian partnerships. And we have many other sources of funds, and you can see a broad variety. So and many of these always actually collaborate with people in school public health, engineering, and other areas within UNLV. So one of the strengths, when I first hired Dr. Batra, one of the first things that we did in conjunction with Dr. Dale Netsky, who's here somewhere, I saw him earlier, there he is, and Dr. Guadagnoli, we started a survey actually of our faculty to ask what they needed, what their experience was, and so forth. So we launched research seminars. They're monthly through the academic year, and we get average evaluations of 4.5 on a 5-point Likert scale. We invite UMC faculty, we invite anyone from UNLV, VA, and beyond as well. So I've introduced you to our team. Those are all fairly recent hires as well. So now we're, I think, able to be a little bit more, I'll say, full service, if you will. We have a good number of grants in this fiscal year, and we've just completed our third quarter. We have had 27 proposals equal to a little over $13 million. And so far in awards, it's $10.8 million. And I would say that is a record for our school. And by just a couple $100,000 more than pre-COVID. So we have 12 clinical trials. You hear more about those. We've recently formed a research committee, and Dr. Ward, who you'll hear from later, is the chair of the research committee as well. And we are revisiting the strategic plan for the School of Medicine in terms of research. And you'll hear more about a research curriculum that we're working on. Dr. Batra will expand upon that. And we aim to offer sort of A to Z support along with the Division of Research on UNLV. And we do a lot of work in preparation for both clinical trials and grants. We have also led a whole PI initiative within UNLV because most of our faculty are not tenure faculty, and many are clinical faculty, and they can be employed less than 50%. And so we worked, and I'm seeing Dr. Slatter here in the audience. We worked so that those departments who are not primarily employed by UNLV can still be principal investigators, and we appreciate all of the work there as well. So again, we try to do a lot as well. Kind of opportunities for growth and improvement. I think we find the same challenge. The clinical faculty are very busy. And so, in my own grants, I've hired PhDs, and that has been helpful. So I think as an institution, we'll need to take a look at that as well. Lots of improved communication. We are bringing up a website and a newsletter within the School of Medicine. We've not had that thus far. We're very interested in collaboration on an interprofessional level. And I'm going to zoom all the way down to the bottom. You would think it'd be really easy to track scholarly activity, but it's not. There are several sources. They have overlaps and gaps, and so we're working with several people in UNLV to close that. Our junior faculty need mentoring, and we hope to make some inroads in that as well in this coming year. And I'll take questions at the break. So next up is Dr. Batra.
Thank you, Dr. Cools, for your leadership to the Office of Research. I'm glad that I know 75% at least like people in this room, and I have had privilege to work with all of you, like 75% people in this room. Thank you so much. So I'm going to talk about from idea to impact, leveraging Office of Research resources for scholarly success. And Dr. Cools already mentioned that we would like to welcome our new talent to the team, Dr. Roberto Sagrebe, who is working with me closely on bringing initiatives. And of course, it was made possible with excellent leadership from Dr. Cools. And I would like to extend my thanks to supporting units, including UNLV Division of Research, Office of Sponsored Program, SOM, IT Department for their technical support for seamless research programming, SOM Library, we work closely with them a lot, and SOM Marketing and Communications. So that being said, Julian, take my excellent photographs. Okay, so I would like to acknowledge ID Weeks, who is here, Anna Corell from Libraries, and Catherine Hook. Nisa Tosley, I don't see her here today. Dr. Madhu Shettin from UMC. Ron Romer, who is already here on the stage. And Dr. Thomas Scott from Medical Education, who helped us to develop the design of the program that we are developing for our SOM community. Here are the learning objectives, which includes, but not limited to identify the core offerings and individualized support services that are provided by Office of Research. And also, I will demonstrate how to access and utilize those resources, including Data Hub and RISE training program, which Dr. Cools mentioned about, and also discuss opportunities for research engagement and training by examining those resources. So the core offerings, which Dr. Cools already mentioned, and that was a sort of responsive programming when we did career development survey with Dr. Dale Netsky, who's here, Dr. Guardinoli. So we developed a career development survey, and we looked at the data, and our seminars that we introduced in February 2021, that was a part of that responsive programming as a result of the need assessment that we have conducted. And we actually performed continuous evaluation each month post-seminar so that we will know what are the topics that our audience want us to cover. And those were largely research-focused topics or grant writing seminars. And we are right now, I think, up to 36 seminars already. And we have other seminar coming up in the last week of April. And that was about the core offerings, which is actually one-to-many kind of model. We also provide one-is-to-one mentoring model, which is more kind of individualized support. So we provide guidance to the investigators and to our SOM learners from the point when they conceive the idea until they get published. So we provide A to Z support for that. And we also collaborated with our program directors to introduce a structured research curriculum for our medical residents and fellows. I would like to extend special thanks to Dr. D.T. Singh, Dr. Pira, Dr. Joe Lawrence Bigas, Dr. Shah from Emergency Medicine, and Dr. Kenneth Azora. I think I saw him today. So we actually launched a structured curriculum for residents and fellows in these departments, and we will be happy to extend that support to other departments if anybody is wanting that. And this is the way of us to measure the success about research impact and scholarly outcome. This is one disclaimer is that this is not about the overall SOM. No. So this data that you see right now is like how Office of Research contributed to these outcomes. So these are the outcomes that resulted from our efforts or our guidance to our learners or investigators. So that include 50+ peer-reviewed publications, 30+ manuscripts resulting from interdisciplinary collaborations, and 30+ posters at national level, 55+ posters at regional and local level, 30+ podium presentations at national and regional level. And we are thriving for that, and we are going to continuously build up that database for tracking it. In terms of building momentum, we have current and ongoing initiatives. Dr. Cools talked about Data Hub initiative that we are building, and Dr. Sagarbe, who's sitting at the back, is working with me on that. So we have acquired nationwide administrative databases, and we also received IRB exclusion letter to allow downstream use of those databases for our investigators. So there is no barrier for you to request the databases that we have, and you can see this table. This will show you how many years of data we have, and if you want to, for the SOM community members, if you want to access this database, scan this QR code, feel free to submit data access form to us, and our team will be able to check the sample feasibility or the study feasibility for you before we go into the detailed analysis plan. This is another one. This is the midterm goal that we are going to bring. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to curate and process publicly available data from GitHub and other machine learning warehouses. And we are going to clean those data sets, optimize those data sets, and house those data sets in the storage, like in our cloud-based storage, to allow access to our researchers without having any barriers to access those data sets. And this is Initiative 2, which is RISE, which is spelled as Research, Innovation, and Scholarly Education Training Program, which Dr. Cools, I, and Dr. Sagarbe, we are co-directing that initiative. And this will be online, self-paced training program. It is hosted on the web campus. It's going to be launched in August 2025. Right now, we are doing a pilot testing of that program. We are giving access, like case by case, to program directors and learners, just to get their feedback, like whether they find it helpful or not, and any other resources they want us to put in that module. So I will just give you some example of the modules that we are putting in. It's about how to do IRB. It may sound simple, right? But it's not simple. It might generate a lot of questions depending upon your case, right? So we are creating FAQs there so that you can get your answers beforehand, and we are going to continuously update our FAQs for that. Study designing, how to find gaps in research and evidence-based medicine, how to create scientific posters, how to write publications, even how to respond reviewer comments. So we are going to put together everything in one location, and we hope that will be helpful for our community. And the training program that I talked about was created because we noticed that there was a variation in the research training and requirements across the departments, and there was opportunity to strengthen foundational knowledge on certain aspects because we have our partners like UMC, so we just want to make sure that our audience, they know the processes, and with the goal of developing a cohesive, accessible, and engaging research training hub that supports our community scholars. So we are going to do quality improvement. Also, there will be pre-test and post-test just to see like what knowledge you gained through those modules. And we will also be giving certificate of completion, which will help everybody to build their CVs. So that is the overall idea behind it. And this is just a sneak peek. I promise I will not take much time in this, window, but it's inside a module sneak peek where you will see the modules. You will see different kinds of surveys that you have to do, and then post-tests that you can see like right now in the up, and then speaker acknowledgements, the contributors, for example, Ron Romer, Nisa Tosley, they help us to create IRB module, and they actually made sure that the responses that we are, including in our FAQ page, that information is correct, up to date, and consistent with the university resources. And then if you see, this is the frequently asked question page that we have set up in the module. And here are some foundational wins. Office of Research received mission fulfillment grant from the main campus for designing this RISE program, and it will be awarded. Our Office of Research will be awarded in the award ceremony coming soon. And here are some initiatives on the horizon. We are going to send some surveys related to need assessment survey for residents and fellows, research interest survey, which Kathy is going to lead. And we are also going to introduce second wave of career development surveys because we want to see like how the programming that we are doing is working and also enhancing research infrastructures. We are also looking for acquiring more data sets. It's like N3C, Epic, Cosmos, Trinitex, and all of us. And there are some strategic long-term goals, which Dr. Kuhl's already mentioned. It's difficult, challenging, but I think we will be there if we work together. So that is how to track scholarly activity, which is future focus. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me or at the generic email address. Thank you.
That was fantastic. So up next is someone you've already met before, Dr. Gwen Marchand, who's the Associate Vice President for Research. She's going to give us insight into some areas that she didn't previously discuss.
We'll see. Thanks, Deb. So the Division of Research is a university-level support system, and we're here to serve the research on campus and the different units and colleges and their goals. So we're really excited about all the work that's happening with Dr. Kuhl's and Dr. Batra and your team as you all continue to build out all these really exciting resources. So I'm happy. I'm just going to go very quickly over a variety of the offices that we have. So wanting to set people up, if you're going to interact with research and engage more in research here on campus, getting an idea at whatever campus you happen to be at, getting an idea of who's in these offices and what services we provide at a very high level is my goal. And then I will be here during the break if anybody has any questions, and you can always email me or call me. Otherwise. Okay, so, oops. I offer the service of turning off the, okay, there we go, turning it off. Okay, so this is our mission statement. Again, we're here to provide a service to the university in promoting high quality and rigorous research that serves the community and the state. Before we get there, I do want to give you just a brief overview of where we are with the current funding landscape. So I first want to say that we're all in this together. We're all in this current world of constant change and confusion together. And as much as you can, Dave Hatchett, the VPR, and I, and Lori Ciccone, our executive director of our Office of Sponsored Programs, and Hallie, who's over here, who hopefully you get a chance to talk with, who is part of our team. We are worrying enough for everyone in this room. We really don't need you to worry too. So if you can, let us do the worrying, and we're keeping abreast of the situation. So, but just to give you, help quell some of the questions that we do here. We have had grants suspended and terminated here at the university. So to date, we have had 16 grants that have been terminated. 4 that were terminated before we even got them. So we got the notice saying, hey, congratulations, you're going to receive a grant, and then we got something back saying, never mind, which is always heartbreaking. So I'm not trying to make light of this. This is an incredibly heartbreaking thing to have to witness, to have to participate with, and to have to work with our principal investigators and their teams to think about ways we can get alternate funding, find ways to support the work that you're doing, and also just let you know how much we value it, even if you're receiving letters that are not kind and can be quite devastating. We see the value in this work, and we will do everything we can to help you continue your careers and do the work that you want to do that does offer that hope and impact to the community that Dr. Cummings mentioned earlier. So of the awards that were terminated, quite a bit of the funding had been expended, but when you look at the remaining funding plus the funding that was awarded but not received, we have lost to date about $7.5 million. Most of those are related to research and health-related research. So this is particular. There is an outsized impact on health-related research. So if you're feeling like that, I'm here to validate that that does, in fact, seem to be the case. And specifically research that impacts diversity and disparate populations and the work that is happening in health. We are also seeing a slowdown in the number of awards that are being made right now. So to date, if you compare what's happened this year to last year, the NSF is at about 50% of the grants that they typically award, and the NIH is even lower. So this is just reality. And what does that mean? That means that we look for diversification. That means we find collaborations and we do other things. We're also seeing the IDCR reduction. This is our facilities and administration costs. You can think about this as reimbursement. So we get most grants as cost reimbursables. We go out, we spend the money to do the work that we're required to do, and then we say, hey, feds, our funder, here we are sending you an invoice for the work that we have done. IDCRs, or those F&As, we also send them a bill for those indirect costs to say, and we fronted the cost to keep the buildings open, to provide library services, to provide OSP and sponsored programs. We're now going to provide you an invoice to be reimbursed for that based off of the rate that we negotiated. That's what an IDCR is. That's what an indirect cost is. So it's a reimbursement. We have been told from the NIH, and there has been a permanent stay, that they would like to reduce that down to 15%. Our rate's at 51.5% right now. And the Department of Energy just followed suit last week. So we're currently in there's litigation pending to hopefully forestall that. So what does that mean? That means thinking about ways that we can get creative, ways that we can continue to do the work that we want to do. And we have offices here to support you in that. So this is very small. This is just to give you a brief overview, but the Division of Research is made up of essentially 6 different types of units. We have our Office of Sponsored Programs, which is here to help you locate grant funding opportunities, help you submit those grant applications, and then once we get those awards in, we negotiate them and we assist with the administration. We are the direct liaison with the sponsors. We have our Office of Research Integrity, which is made up of 3 different groups, and I'll show you an org chart here in a second. The Office of Research Integrity is probably our broadest on campus. So we have a Division of Research Protections within there, which is IRB. You're going to hear from Beverly in a few minutes to tell you more about doing research with our human participants. We also administer our IACUC and our animal care program for those of you that do work with animals. We have a research integrity. Joey Sussman here is our research integrity officer that helps with our responsible conduct of research program, making sure everybody's on the same page around what it means to engage in ethical research. And then we also have our Office of Research Compliance, and that's that's Jill Zimbelman is our Director of Research Compliance, and she does things like your lovely conflict of interest that we will be begging you to participate with. We have to do that. Please do that. But also administers REDCap, which is a survey system and a data management system that many of you probably use in health-related research. We have a HIPAA-compliant instance of REDCap that is managed through a single sign-on system, as well as foreign influence and foreign influence and foreign travel. We have clinical trials. Michelle's going to tell you all about that, but we have an amazing clinical trials team that is here to support and work with the School of Medicine on your work, as well as others across campus. We have research infrastructure. So if you're here at the School of Medicine and you would like to engage with, you'd like lab space over on the main campus, we help with that. And then we have a new Office of Research Engagement. So I'm going to skip the VPR because that's just money. But we're going to talk very, very briefly, and I'm happy to share these slides if anyone wants them, about research engagement. So we have a new person, since I only have about 30 seconds left. We have a new person that has recently been hired that I think will be of great interest to many of you. So our Research Engagement Office is here to support program development, research development. So this is limited submissions, internal faculty award funding, as well as we now have an assistant director for interdisciplinary health research. This is Alexa Meyer. She's coming from us. She's not even here yet. She'll be here in May and then physically here in June. Her role is really to act to help work with all of the associate deans, faculty within our academic health units and the Academic Health Center to help foster collaborations, to help bring people together, to help look for those interdisciplinary and collaborative grants, and to support and use tools to support collaboration. These are just some ideas and examples of resources and ways that we can provide support for your research, including lab space. We can help you find funding. We can help connect you with regional institutions of higher education, health partners. We work with the VA quite a bit, and we're part of the community of practice. There is a VA Research Week coming up, if you will be getting some notice about that. And then finally, we have 8 interdisciplinary research development areas on campus. There are the liaisons. Your own Jeff Kinney is one of them. These are a nascent and growing initiative on campus that is, and we would love to see more health-related researchers engaging in these groups. And this is the idea of how do we set an identity for the university? How do we bring people together to develop projects that are going to be important for the work that we're trying to do? Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Please come find me, and I'm happy to take any questions later.
Yes, and I believe that all of our speakers are going to be willing to share their slides. I'll confirm that with all of them. And next up is Heidi Weeks, who's our director of our School of Medicine library. And I would say that the support that the library gives research is really remarkable here. During all my training and previous employment, we didn't have this type of support, and it's really, really important, and it's accessible. And for those of you with the School of Medicine here, it's accessible here, so you don't have to travel very far. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Cools, and the Office of Research for extending an invitation to the School of Medicine Library, and by extension, the libraries. So I did napkin math. I have 14 slides. I have 7 minutes, 30-second slides each. But I am going to take this opportunity just to have a shout-out of university libraries. So we've been talking about interdisciplinary research and interdisciplinary collaboration. And since probably the inception of the institution at UNLV, we've always had a library. And here at UNLV, we're really fortunate to have a library that has about 40 plus faculty. Our library faculty are tenure track. We also do research, and we're embedded in every single school or college in this institution. So when you think about interdisciplinary research and you think about collaboration, definitely be keeping in mind library faculty that can provide guidance and support and collaboration on these projects. So I will try to be brief here, just as a heads up to give you an idea of what the School of Medicine Library is. We opened in 2017. We were known as the Health Sciences Library. We became the School of Medicine Library in 2020, and we are a branch library of the University Libraries System. So we have libraries for the School of Architecture, the College of Music, or the School of Music. We also have it for the College of Education, and then we have it for the Kerkorian School of Medicine, and our flagship location is Lead Library on the Maryland campus. We're located just above us on the 3rd floor. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, but unlike our other branch counterparts, we are the only library in the institution that's open 24/7. So as you can imagine, we have residents, fellows, medical students, clinical faculty working around the clock, taking care of patients, being in the community, and one of the things that we wanted to make sure we offered was access to the library. So if you have a badge and you are certified to have access to this building, you can come into the library, use our space. We have a computer lab, soft seating study rooms, and those are all available to you. Another interesting facet of our library is that most of our collection is digital. About 97% of our collection is digital. And that is so that our users are able to access resources wherever they are, whether they are in UMC, whether they're in UNLV Health Clinic, whether they're at home, or whether they're in Winnemucca, way up in Nevada. You have access to our resources. And then, of course, we are a small but mighty team. We have 3 library faculty, and we have 1 student supervisor and 5 student employees. Our library faculty cover 3 specific areas within the Kerkorian School of Medicine. We have Katie Hauk, who's in the audience today. She's our undergraduate medical education librarian and supports the medical students. We have Anna Corral, who's our graduate medical education and research librarian, supporting residents and fellows. And now that we have the Department of Brain Health that's moved over to the Kerkorian School of Medicine, I am now the liaison for the Department of Brain Health, so we have you completely covered. Okay, so that's just to give you an idea of who we are, what we look like, and what our names are. But if you have any questions, I will definitely be at the tabling next door and happy to help kind of give you an overview, a little bit more of an overview of our liaison support. So one thing I do want to stress is the University Library's teaching philosophy. As library faculty, we are educators and instructors. Our goal is to educate and help individuals build the skills that they need to be researchers. And that runs the gamut, which I'll show in a future slide. But we want to make sure that individuals have the skills to be able to find resources, create search strategies, do systematic reviews, because you might be here at UNLV, this may be your forever home, or you may go to another institution, and we want to make sure that individuals have the tools and the skills to be able to do that wherever they go. Research. We love the word research in the library, and we love it because we have a very expansive philosophy on what research is. In the health sciences, primarily that is quantitative research, but we also recognize that research is much broader than that. We have quantitative, qualitative, mixed methods, and we have other ways of knowing that may or may not be within the Western framework of what we do research, and we want to support all of that. So we do stress that when our learners, be it students, faculty, residents, or fellows, come and visit us for consultation, that we are able to encourage them to think broadly and think of all the different research opportunities that exist that are outside of what we might consider the traditional framework of research. So we offer consultations. We offer general consultations, and then we offer research-focused consultations, which are usually focused around evidence synthesis. And what's also great about connecting with a liaison librarian is we also can touch base with our colleagues that have very specialized knowledge sets. So you might come to us for a research question, and if we're not able to quite answer it, or we feel that you might need more in-depth support, we can connect you to our faculty that are experts in scholarly communications, in research impact, in GIS, and we have a business librarian who helps to oversee the Patent and Trademark Resource Center. So if you're wanting to create or to move your research into intellectual property and you need to figure out about patents and trademarks, we have an individual that can provide guidance. And at this point in time, we're also looking to hire a data librarian. So we will have a data librarian that can also be kind of filling out the rest of that team of experts that we have at Lead Library. General consultations, these are really for us to engage with our learners on conversations about their research topic, scholarship, or partnering in the library, whether that is potentially doing didactic, doing an instruction, doing a workshop, partnering with the Office of Research for their webinars. Our consultations are open to anyone, so faculty, staff, med students, residents, and fellows, and we try to be available in such a way that we can really engage with individuals, not just on what resources we have in the library and what services we offer, but what are you thinking about when it comes to your research project? Because you never know, some of our library faculty may have done similar research, and we can provide that additional guidance for you. So here are just some examples. I won't go over all of them, but we definitely cover the quantitative and qualitative research methods. We can also help with finding data sets. We obviously are experts when it comes to search strategy formation and evidence synthesis, and we can help even do things like a journal club activity with your program. This is new. This is something that our library liaisons have worked at in the School of Medicine, and also with our colleague Zan Goodman, who's the health sciences librarian at Lead Library. We are offering an evidence synthesis learning pathway. So if you're someone interested in doing systematic reviews or scoping review, we can do 4 hours or 4 sessions where we allow individuals to go from the beginning of their research project all the way to a protocol. And we're really hoping that folks take advantage of this, because protocol formation is one of the hardest things that you can do when it comes to evidence synthesis project, and we definitely want to be able to support that and offer that with our consultation series. And so additional research tools really quickly, we have the Open Article Fund, we have research guides, we offer conference poster printing at Lead Library, we have access to EndNote, we also have access to LibKey Nomad, Sage research methods, and our computer lab has tools for quantitative and qualitative research analysis. Open article funds, there are several. We have one at the School of Medicine. It's open to faculty and residents and fellows when the GME Open Article Fund is closed. But we have a guide where we allow individuals to track all of the funds that are currently available. If there are questions regarding our fund, feel free to reach out. We do try to make sure that we can support our folks to be able to publish. We offer up to $2,000 per APC for author teams. I see you standing up, so I'm moving fast. Any other questions, feel free to reach out and reach me at the table next door.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is like speed dating, isn't it? So next up is Michelle Tomasino. She's the director of the Office of Clinical Trials in the Division of Research. And Michelle, everybody will be anxious to hear what you have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cools, and thank you, everyone, for the opportunity. So my name is Michelle Tomasino. I actually started in parallel to the School of Medicine starting, so middle of 2017. And we are a very small office of 2. Michaela Vasquez and I are here. We like to also call ourselves the triage center of the Division of Research. So if you don't know who to go to, we're always happy to answer any question you have. In collaboration with the Office of Research here at the Kerkorian School of Medicine, we work together. The typical clinical trials that we work on are the industry sponsored. We also work on the investigator-initiated clinical research. We do go out and find funding for any trials that are written by any of our faculty members. And then we also work closely with our Office of Sponsor Programs for any federally funded clinical trials or interventional research as well. Our office in particular supports the study feasibility. So when we receive a protocol from one of our potential principal investigators, we assess all of the schedule of assessments to see if the trial is actually feasible here at our newly formed health centers. One of the areas that we look at in particular is do we have the logistical support to support the trials? I can honestly say that we don't take no for an answer. We do our absolute hardest to ensure that all of the trials that come to us are feasible. And we also work with Dr. Cools's office to determine if it's effective to have the trial here from a scientific merit perspective. We also manage the policies and procedures. We do have a central data management system that our office supports and provides support to the School of Medicine. We manage the budgetary review and negotiations. We also do the post-award. So we manage the coverage analysis, the billing to the sponsors. We help split the bills in terms of what's standard of care and what's billable to the sponsor, as well as contractual obligations. And then Dr. Cools has a wonderful team of clinical research coordinators, Kathy, Kemi, and Priscilla, who help manage the regulatory and data management as well. One of the areas that we found of critical concern is when we had these trials come to us, there was a little bit of a gap in terms of determining the feasibility. So for quite a bit of time, I want to say it took almost 2 years, we were able to go out into the community and find areas that would help our trials in terms of servicing our research. We have a phenomenal partnership with UMC with a lot of our trials. We collaborate both from a research level, where both are engaged in research, and then we also work with UMC in terms of some of our outpatient trials, where they do help us for diagnostic imaging, infusion center. And we also work with Sunrise Hospital Medical Center. We have diagnostic imaging with Desert Radiology. We have lab services with Quest Diagnostics. The two big areas that we had found a gap and were able to support or find support is our investigational drug services. So when we receive investigational drugs, it goes to one of two areas. Our primary source is our student wellness, which was the first investigational drug services certified here in the state of Nevada. And anything that is non-oral, so compounding in particular, we outsource to Solutions Specialty Compounding Pharmacy. And then we also have our School of Dental Medicine. Dr. Ebersol was kind enough to allow us to use his resources to help process and ship any specimen for any of our clinical trials. So as it is at any institution, but we found a little bit particularly challenging here at our institution is getting contracts established and fully executed. Partly, it's mainly in part that we have a very limited term that causes a little bit of a delay in terms of fully executing a contract. So with the help of our general counsel, Shannon Richards, I'm not sure if she's here today or not, but we've come up with a great way of executing our contracts. I'm very happy to say that our clinical trials agreements take no more than 8 weeks from when we've received it to when we fully have negotiated the terms. When it comes to signing off, however, it takes a little bit longer. So we've actually implemented master agreements with a lot of our industry sponsors. So we have them listed all here. We also have reached out to clinical research organizations who help facilitate clinical trials on behalf of a lot of the pharmaceutical companies. We have access to several pipelines. So often enough, we do meet with Dr. Cools to find any new faculty. We do reach out to them. I think Dr. DeAndrea was our most recent person that I harassed for a meeting and had a wonderful meeting with him, who he's also looking forward to doing some clinical trials. So the resources that we, in particular, our Office for Main Campus provide is we help prepare and do the submissions for the institutional review boards. We help with the site selection and the qualification visits, as well as the site initiation visits for a lot of these trials. We help our principal investigators and sub-investigators for any training that's specifically related to their clinical trials, but we also have a specific onboarding process with them in terms of their education and their certifications, particular to their city training requirements. We manage the investigator meetings. We oversee the source documentation developments, any sort of EDC capture training. All of that comes from Michaela and myself. To understand how our process is, and I know I only have a couple of minutes left, so when a protocol is identified, our office manages the CDA review and the execution of that. We also complete the sponsor feasibility questionnaire. We work with UNLV Health, in particular to the EPIC team, to collect appropriate data for the site selection process with our industry sponsors. And part of that as well is to review the protocol and really truly ensure that these trials are feasible. If they are not, we do our own due diligence to ensure that there is a feasibility. So sometimes if the trial or the clinical trial is deemed feasible where we already have the services in place, we're able to open the trial up within less than 4 months. If we do have to help support, get additional resources to help with the feasibility, it does take a little bit longer, again, dependent on a set of extra contracts that we have to do with the potential research services. So our office also supports investigator-initiated trials. We do help with any sort of IND, IDE applications, as well as any phases or funding sources. We currently have a great portfolio here at the School of Medicine, and we're also doing some cannabis research as well in collaboration with the School of Medicine, and we're also supporting the underrepresented here. I have a little bit of a process. We have our own website. Everything is all listed right there of all the trials that we're doing with the School of Medicine, and I'm looking forward to your questions at the end. We'll be over at the next door, the poster.
Thank you. Yes. So next up is going to be Beverly Jacobic. She's the Research Protections Director in the Office of Research Integrity with Human Services at UNLV. And again, in the poster session, there are going to be several resource tables for you to get additional information.
Thank you, Dr. Cools, for having me. I am Beverly Jacobic, happy to be here to talk about IRB, everybody's favorite subject. I could feel it. I'm going to focus on PI eligibility, the IRB process, and talk a little bit about our Cayuse Human Ethics platform. So PI eligibility, this is a starting point. What gets you able to submit to the IRB? So we have automatic eligibility, and that's for our full-time equivalents, our academic and administrative faculty who are 50% or more, our permanent prospective long-term equivalents, and our emeritus faculty. Additionally, student researchers are also eligible under their faculty advisor as they are the ones listed as the PI. We have a process for exceptions, and it looks like my slide didn't get updated. We have a process for exceptions for all the others. They can submit an electronic PI eligibility request form, a curriculum vitae, a resume of the proposed PI, or submit a PI eligibility exception assurance that designates the proposed PI's dean or chair. Sorry, that was a lot. There's a lot. The forms have a lot of long names. What's missing from the slide we've updated is volunteers, which are frequently our community faculty, or also can go through the volunteer process to also submit. The PI requirements after this point is our PIs need to complete annual financial conflict of interest and complete their city training. Most people already know what that city training is, but just in case, cityprogram.org, human ethics training, there's a link. I'll, of course, share the slides. Once you've done that, you can submit, and you have to access Cayuse first. Cayuse is not automatic, especially if you're a volunteer or you've sought an exception to that PI eligibility. You'll want to make sure you log in and make sure you have access to Cayuse, and if not, contact us. It's not automatic access for everybody. So I want to talk a little bit about the IRB review process. That's going to start with you submitting, now that you can. You've gone through all that. You submit to the IRB. It's going to be reviewed by one of our 4 analysts. They are senior human research administrators. Again, there's 4 of them. They will do a review for completion, and then they will send the review either back to you if they need additional information, or they will send it on to review. That review, depending on the level of review, will either go to a board reviewer or it will go to full board for review. And then again, it can come back for comments. want to make sure that you know our expected turnaround for IRB review aligns with our AHARP accreditation standards, and we will expect to have it back to you within 30 days or sooner. Again, depending on the review and the complexity of your research. We have 2 IRB boards, the biomedical and social behavioral. The biomedical meets on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, that would be today, and the social and behavioral meets on the 1st Thursday of the month. We would like to see your submission 4 weeks in advance. That's why there's a protocol due date. That is a preferred date. It is not hard and fast. We really are here to support you. We are going to try to get your submission to review if that's what's required. Full board review is for more than minimal risk. It is for things like investigational devices, investigational new drugs, use of the DEXA, work with prisoners. So not all of your research requires full board review. You should probably consult with your analyst if you need to know whether you need to make this meeting or not. They can tell you what level of review your protocol is going to receive. I am very, very, very pleased to announce that we have a new Cayuse submission form. So Cayuse is our platform. We have a new form. We've been working on it for 2 years. We have gone through 2 beta testing sessions, numerous edits, and it's going to be amazing. It releases on May 1 in the early morning hours. Don't look for it too early. Give us a little bit of time. But it will be up. It utilizes branching logic into these 4 areas: excluded determination, exempt, expedited and full board, external IRB of record. These 4 branches are going to allow you to not have to submit so much information that isn't necessary. So it'll be focused on your needs. We hope this streamlines the process and makes it easier for you. We're definitely going to want your feedback as this comes out. If you have anything that's not working, could work better, please do let us know. We will be seeking your feedback. Those 4 pathways I just showed you, you may not know which pathway to take. We have created a decision tool so that you can go through that survey process and have an idea. We expect that you only need to go through this once or twice to have an idea where your research fits. This shouldn't be something that you have to use every single time you submit to us. This is our marvelous team. They're the ones that will be helping you. Nissa Towsley, our assistant director. Joanna Simmons is our coordinator. And those are 4 analysts: Muriel McGregor, Joy Ramiro, Christina Lucabella, and Jennifer Nealon. They're the team that makes it happen, but there's also, not included here, is our wonderful board. We have at least 2 board members here that help us process, and they're also very much appreciated. And that is my speedy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We look forward to training on the new decision tool and the announcement. So it's right around the corner. So our last speaker in this session is Ronald Romer, who many of you know. He's the Director of Clinical Research and Compliance at UMC. And actually, we were to have a joint meeting today, which we had to cancel because of this symposium.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Cools. Thank you, everyone, for being here. All right, let's start this thing. So I'm Ronald Romer, the Director of Clinical Research and Compliance at UMC. So, wrong way. As a partner with UNLV in research, we collaborate quite a bit. I wanted to just kind of go over what we have at UMC to assist UNLV researchers. So we have a human research protection program that includes both the IRB and our clinical trials office. Very similar to what was just described. We follow the same regulations. But our IRB reviews anything that human subjects research that's conducted at UMC. We ensure that risk is minimized and that the institution is compliant with the federal, local, and state regulations. So our clinical trials office is very similar to what Michelle just described. We work collaboratively since 2017. We've come a long way in having some procedures in place and ways to get contracts and budgets through a little bit quicker. Who can serve as a PI is different at UMC than it is at UNLV. They have to be on staff through MEC. Let's see, what else? Is there anything? Which IRB? We do have that goes back and forth, and that's where she was talking about submitting to UNLV, and if UMC is going to be the IRB of oversight. And that's usually dependent on data with or patients if we are engaged in the research. Okay, so therapy areas. We have quite a few lines at the hospital. We focus mostly on interventional trials that deal with inpatients or start as inpatients, maybe through the ED or whatnot. But we do have resources. Oh, I'll get into that in a second, sorry. So these are the areas. We really focused on surgery and COVID with UNLV. We have done an industry-sponsored study in ED. But most of the stuff has been around surgery and COVID. One of the big things that we did collaboratively was the N3C database, where that was through the School of Public Health, the School of Medicine, and UMC. Yeah, and we worked together on getting that all set up through TriNext and depositing data monthly to this NIH database. So future areas that I personally would like to see where I think these are areas that we really could do more on is number one, burn. We have the inpatient services, but we also have outpatients. So every patient that comes in as a burn does their follow-up at UMC. I think that's a great area where we share resources and we can collaborate. The other is we just recently opened a infusion center just across the parking lot that's open to anybody to do infusions, but we're recently working on a rheumatology study that's going to need the infusion services at that clinic. So the support and resources for investigators is our office. We've built a good relationship with UNLV School of Medicine over the past few years. We do offer outpatient exam rooms for follow-up visits. We do have a research pharmacy. We're not as high-tech as UNLV yet. We only have a pharmacy that allows administering drugs, not dispensing. Our workaround for that is obtaining a PI dispensing license, study-specific. The last two areas I really want to touch on are EPIC and TriNext. They are databases, basically. The EPIC Cosmos is something that UNLV, UMC have opted into, so we share data into a Cosmos database, if you will, and the Cosmos platform allows you to extract or review data, I should say, because you're not allowed to download data from there. You can just manipulate it within their system. TriNext is very similar to EPIC, but it's through the N3C grant that I just discussed, and then we just provide data, and then the TriNext is the platform where you can access that. That is all I have. These are our contact people, our research office. If they'd stand up, I know they're here. Jennifer, Robert, and RJ, just to put a face with a name. I noticed that when I walked in, there's so many people I know by name, but I've never seen their faces because of COVID. I was like, oh, well, it's you. So that's them. We will be here after as well with a table, and I have this information on a spreadsheet or a printout for you with a QR code.
Great. So one of the things I just want to point out before we go to the break is that a lot of these large data sources now, they don't allow you to export data. You have to work within their system. You have a portal. You have to have a super user and so forth. So that takes human resources centralized. So it's one of the things that Ron and I need to really work on this coming year. So we are a little behind schedule. So I'm going to say that we will start at 3:55. We do have refreshments outside. There's coffee, cold drinks, and some light snacks. Anyone who needs to use the bathroom, go to the right, go past the guard station, take another right, and then you'll be looking at the elevators there immediately across the hall from the elevators. So again, thank you for your attention, and we will see you in just a few minutes. Before we leave, brief the first 6 people who are listed in the next session. We're going to be switching to kind of an overview of clinical departments. I need you on stage at 3:55. Thank you. Okay.
I was at Emory before I came here.
then brain health. All right, if I can ask a couple people in the back, come on, get people to come back. We're ready to start. Thank you. Apologize for the short break. And also, you know, after this, we're going to have a poster showcase. And during that time, we'll have hors d'oeuvres and other refreshments as well. So thank you all for coming back. And so we're going to get started first with a verbal presentation on the Las Vegas VA. And I'm going to welcome Alicia Brown to the podium. She was not able to submit her slides just due to a new regulation at the VA, I think. So she'll be speaking to us verbally. And just as a reminder, everyone has 7 minutes. So this, again, is a little bit of speed dating. All right? Thank you.
Hi, it's good to see everyone. So there are 3 things I would like you to remember from this brief talk today. Number 1 is veterans, number 2 is partnership, and number 3 is May 14th. So I want to start off by asking, how many of you are veterans in the room? Couple, great. How many of you have a family member who is a veteran? Wonderful. How many of you have students, friends, somebody that you know, a neighbor who is a veteran? All right. So veterans touch everybody's lives. They are key to our society, and I'm so honored to be representing the VA today. So I wanted to tell you that the Department of Veterans Affairs has a mission statement, and the statement is to fulfill President Lincoln's promise to care for those who have served in our nation's military and for their families, caregivers, and survivors. And that mission statement changed in March of 2023 to be more inclusive. Now, the VHA, which is the healthcare aspect of the VA, has another mission statement, which is to honor Americans' veterans by providing exceptional health care that improves their health and well-being. So we're really focused on helping veterans manage their lives with the ailments that they get typically from either serving stateside or abroad. And I wondered if any of you know that it's our 100-year celebration this year of VA research. And so I wanted to tell you that in 1924, there was a medical council, and research has always been part of the agenda of VA. So in 1924, they wanted to address World War I veterans and things that happened to our service members in their service during the war. Also, you may not know, but there are 4 pillars to VA, and that is, or VHA, that is patient care, of course, and education. A lot of you have trainees or have been through a VA in your training. But a 3rd pillar is research, and the 4th pillar is preparedness. So a lot of people think of VA as patient care and benefits, but research is integral to the VA's mission. And in fact, there's a ranking system of VAs. So you have level 1, 2, 3, and you have A, B, and C. And in order to be at a level 1, you have to have a research service. So that's also something, and we're a level 1B, so we have to have research. Also, I wanted to let you know that VA clinician researchers were allowed to get NIH grants through the medical schools in 1954. So before we had our own VA resources and funding, it actually went through NIH, and we had to partner with medical schools in order to do research. So I think that that is a great thing, and it bodes well for partnering with UNLV, because I know that together, you know, Las Vegas is growing. It's grown over the years, and I think we're at a place where the VA and the university can partner to do great things. And I wanted to share some actually historic accomplishments for VA research. So we were the first clinical diagnostic center. We had the first use of convalescent serum. We had the first identification of silicosis. We found links to smoking and lung cancer. We had some of the best diagnostic tests, for example, for syphilis. We were the first conducted the first randomized clinical controlled trial. We treated tuberculosis. We found a treatment for psychosis. We did cooperative studies program trials. We treated hyperthyroidism. We were the first to do nuclear medicine scans of the thyroid. We did radioimmunoassays. There were 2 Nobel Prizes from this. We had effective treatments for hypertension. We were the first practical implantable pacemaker. We had a role in looking at viruses in cancer. We were the first to treat fungal disease, dialysis fistulas, and automated ECG readings. Later VA research accomplishments included aspirin for the inactivation of platelets, clot-busting medications, automated hospital information systems, statistics using the electronic medical record and clinical trials. We looked at the toxicity of alcohol. We were the first to have prosthetics that feel, and we are part of the Million Veterans Program, which looks at genetics. So I think there's a real opportunity. The VA has done great work, and we've often partnered with great universities, and I think that that could be true here in Las Vegas as well. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our site. We serve over 72,000 veterans. We have 8 sites, including a medical center, 4 primary care clinics, a community-based outreach clinic, another outreach clinic in Laughlin, and a psychosocial rehabilitation and recovery center. We currently have 13 approved projects. We have 3 administrative positions, 6 research coordinators, and 12 investigators. I would love to see that number of investigators grow with your help. We have a very busy hospital. We have hundreds of thousands of encounters every year. And so the last note I want to leave you with is, how many of you are busy on May 14th? If you're not, I invite you to our hospital. It's 13 minutes away from this location. So we're going to have an all-day event from 8:30 to 4. We're offering 6 continuing education credits for a variety of disciplines. It's free. We're also catering the event. And we're going to have a poster presentation. We're going to have breakout sessions. We're going to offer a few lectures in the breakout sessions, as well as brainstorming, so that we develop collaborative teams to tackle research topics related to veterans in the coming year. So I very much hope that I see you there. And if you'd like to attend, please contact Gwen Marchand, and she has more information. Thank you.
And I know Dr. Marchand's going to be sending us information on this as well. Next, we're going to be transitioning to our departments, our clinical departments at the School of Medicine. So I'm happy to introduce Dr. Jefferson Kinney, who's a professor and the Reg Grundy and J. Chambers Gundy Chair of Brain Health. Thanks.
Thank you. Whoops, okay. So I'm going to be the one that goes in different directions for this as well. So 7 minutes to highlight a department is not much. I considered doing auctioneer speech, but you wouldn't understand any of it, and I can't do it, so it's not going to happen. For those of you who heard this before, I apologize, but I am the other Jeff in brain health. So Jeffrey Cummings and I, if you ever need to distinguish, it's Jeffrey and Jefferson. That's the easier way to remember it. I really like the conversation here today, specifically about interdisciplinary research, because that was the blueprint for brain health from its inception. The design of this department more closely models centers of research than it does the typical academic department. And I hope if you come away with anything from this, it's the composition and the makeup of the work that we have. I also tried to lean in for a couple extra minutes to talk about a couple cores that we have in the department that I'm hoping may be a source of collaboration with our new colleagues in School of Medicine as well as elsewhere. So our department includes myself, and I largely oversee both a biomarker enterprise as well as some translational animal modeling work. Jeff Cummings, who you heard from earlier, and he's done me a tremendous favor in highlighting some of the research that he's doing. Dr. Kate Zong, who is the director of our innovation, also leads our brain health outreach efforts, and apparently I broke it now. So I'll do it from memory and we'll kind of go from there. So Dr. Zong does this tremendous quarterly brain health and you outreach within the community, but also has been remarkably successful in our innovator program at securing funding as well as organizing this event. If it keeps up, okay, we'll figure it out. I'll do it from memory. I should know who they are. And then we have Dr. Samantha John, who's actually a neuropsychologist by training, who primarily focuses on health disparities in aging and Alzheimer's disease. And then our last faculty who was just hired this year is Dr. Lena Nee, who comes to us from UCLA, and she adds a really unique capability to the department in doing nanomaterials research specifically for stroke recovery. So if you were to look at the slide that is not on the screen at the moment, what you would see is a cell molecular biologist followed by 2 MDs, followed by a neuropsychologist and another PhD doing nanomaterial research. The idea of the department is predicated on each one of us has research lines within our own individual workshops, but also tremendous opportunities for collaboration. And that's largely why the Department of Brain Health has been so successful. Every one of these investigators is funded on 1 or more grants to pursue several different investigations. So, now why, okay, do I get more time? Sorry, my apologies. So the next slide you were gonna see is a picture, actually, you just look quickly before it fades. Okay, there's a test later. This is actually an assessment tool we worked on. So the next slide is a picture of, okay, so this is to highlight some of our preclinical model work that is really my background in training initially. And on the left, you will see quick flashes of cell mechanisms that we're studying in preclinical models to try and identify causes of neurodegenerative disease. But in this case, what you don't see is specific mechanisms where diabetes confers increased risk for developing Alzheimer's disease. We've had some funding from NIH and a few other sources, and now the slides are skipping, so I'm just going to put this down and hope for the best. So what follows that is an overview of the Chambers-Grundy Center. This is impressive. Is there hope for it, or should I just simply plow forward? Just keep going, okay. Sorry. So the Chambers-Grundy Center is an effort that's led by our own very own Jeff Cummings. You've heard about some of the work within the Chambers-Grundy Center, which is the Clinical Trial Observatory. And that was one of the very early efforts within the center. It's funded by a National Institute of Aging Leadership Award to Dr. Cummings, and has resulted in that, what we call the circle of hope, what he terms the circle of hope of those drugs